California terrorists gamed the K-1 fiancé visa system, and then today's shocking news that ISIS may now be able to print passports. How vulnerable are we to another attack here in the United States? And how would President Marco Rubio deal with the growing threats? On the record's Griff Jenkins sat down with the 2016 GOP presidential candidate, Senator Marco Rubio.
I just spent the last week in San Bernardino, the worst attack since 9/11 for terrorists. Folks in California and here in Iowa are scared. We had failings by the visa program. The FBI missed warnings. My question to you is, what actions, if you were president right now, would you be taking?
Well, people, first of all, are scared because they sense the threat. It continues to grow, and the president doesn't know what he's doing. In fact, on Sunday night, he gave a speech that was supposed to reassure the American people, and I think it made things worse. He gave a speech where he basically announced that these are the problems we have, but we're not going to change anything. What we would be doing is multifaceted. We need to rebuild our intelligence programs. Our intelligence programs today need to be expanded to figure out ways to get access to encrypted devices, such as these attackers used, the dark spaces in the internet where a lot of radicalization is happening. We need to improve our military capabilities. We're cutting over close to $1 trillion of defense spending over the next 10 years. So as the world grows more dangerous, we're growing less capable. We need a comprehensive review of our immigration laws, particularly for non-permanents, those who are coming here on visas, because ISIS has established a very sophisticated understanding of all of our different visa programs and are looking to infiltrate people by manipulating them, not to mention taking advantage of the Syrian refugee crisis. And then we need to put together a coalition in that region to defeat ISIS militarily and reject it ideologically. You can't just do that from the air. Anyone who says we can do it just with air power is not, either doesn't know what they're talking about or isn't being truthful. We will have to increase airstrikes, but there needs to be a ground force that defeats them. And while Kurds are doing a great job of holding the Kurdish areas, we need a Sunni Arab force on the ground that we will help by embedding special operators alongside them to ultimately defeat ISIS militarily in the Sunni regions and reject them ideologically as well.
You've laid a lot out there. Let me press you on immigration. Folks have been critical of your immigration plan as recent as the Syrian refugees. What are you going to do specifically, and is there something with this K-1 fiancé visa to ensure that another Tashfeen Malik doesn't slip into the United States?
But understand that when we've dealt with immigration in the past, the focus has been on what do we do with people that are already here illegally. The issue we're focused on now primarily is people trying to enter legally as doctors or students or as fiancés, but also people trying to come in as refugees, including through the southern border. And ISIS and other radical jihadist groups have figured out and have a pretty clear understanding of how to manipulate that program, in addition to the use of visa waivers. So these are new topics. This is the first time in modern history of this country that an enemy has tried to manipulate our legal immigration system, something that I've been working on to reform for a long time, and is trying to manipulate our legal immigration system to insert radicals or those who have been radicalized into the country. And we need to modernize those policies to confront that threat.
An overhaul? A total review?
Well, in the case of visa waivers, for example, we should be requiring more. You know, the visa waiver program is solely dependent on the host country. So we are relying on them to do the background and the security check. And so adding things like biometric requirements, that they also need to fingerprint the people that are coming here. You know, our visa waiver program security is only as good as the program the host country has in place. That needs to be re-examined, especially for certain key countries that we've extended that to. On the cases of the immigrant visas or the non-immigrant visas that people are coming on, student visas, professional visas for doctors and things of this nature, we need to understand that ISIS is specifically recruiting people who fit that profile to take advantage of that program, and we need to improve our security and our background checks with regards to people that are coming in on what have normally been a pretty benign program, but now pose potentially a threat to the country's future.
FBI Director Comey said this week that our ability to monitor has been impaired in a recent hearing. Are there things that you believe the FBI needs to be enhanced for us to identify the next radicalized threat in America?
Well, first we need to reverse the terrible decision that was made earlier this year to take down the metadata program, where we now are relying on private companies to hold data, but there's no requirement on them to keep it for any period of time. So some of these companies may barely keep records. You got to fight through their general counsel to get access to them, and it doesn't allow us to paint a full picture of what these people are doing and who they might be coordinating with. Beyond that, we need to begin to address the issue of encryption. There's no easy answer to that, because encryption is put in place now as a matter of course for most Americans, and depending on the device you use, as a way of protecting your identity and your private information. But we also know that terrorists are using encryption in a way that even now, in the aftermath of San Bernardino, the law enforcement agencies in charge of the investigation are having trouble painting a full picture because a lot of the things that these terrorists use were encrypted.
And we'll have much more with Griff's interview with Senator Marco Rubio. And a bonus, Senator Marco Rubio's brother, Mario, gives Griff his first TV interview. That's coming up, so stick around.